Richard, you've been a busy beat this week, especially on the football side of things. Arkansas gets 3 commits in like the last 5 days. Let's start with the most recent one. What can you tell us about what the Razorback football program is getting in tight end Tyus Washington?
A very athletic kid who can help you stretch the field, physical enough to help you block. Obviously needs more development like any tight end, high school tight end, to play on the SEC level. But 6'4", 230 pounds, and had an impressive offer list, more than 20 offers. And came down to Arkansas, Cincinnati, and Central Florida, but he had South Carolina, Tennessee, Nebraska, Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, and several others in pursuit of him. But when he visited Arkansas June 4th and 6th, I think it was kind of pretty much a done deal there. There was a little kink in the recruitment just from the standpoint that Cody Kennedy was the tight ends coach and moved to the O-line. And when Dowell Loggains was hired as the tight ends coach, I reached out to Tyrus, and he immediately got back with me. And a lot of these kids, they're slow to get back to you at certain points, but he was very fired up about Coach Loggains' NFL resume, and I think that kind of helped seal the deal too. So very, very good pickup. A guy that I think he has a chance. He has a chance from a physical standpoint to be an all SEC type tight end. Obviously, that remains to be seen. All depends on his development over the next 2 to 3 years.
What about Jalen Lewis, Richard?
He's another one that had over 40 offers. I confirmed that with his coach. His coach, a lot of these kids will not report all of their offers, and sometimes, their offer list, according to sites and what they actually have, doesn't jive up. But he had more than 40 offers, and looked like it was down to Arkansas and Auburn. And when he visited Arkansas earlier this month, that kind of sealed the deal. He said once he got to Arkansas, he just felt like he was at home. And then you got to give Coach Carter, Sam Carter, the quarterback's coach, a lot of credit. He keeps, connecting with these kids. He said that his relationship with Coach Carter was unlike any other relationship that he had with other coaches. So Coach Carter just has that ability to really get these relationships going and get the trust of these kids, and it pays dividends, and obviously did with Jalen.
So you talk about relationships. I know they're on Gentry Williams, and I know Carter is really a part of that. 5-star kid out of Oklahoma. Is that going to be, if he ends up committing to Arkansas and leaving the state of Oklahoma, is Sam Carter going to be one of the biggest reasons that happened, RD?
Oh, without a doubt. When I talked to Gentry about their relationship, he said it's beyond the player-coach relationship. It's like brother, big brother type relationship, and they just have a strong connection. I don't know if he's going to end up at the University of Arkansas, but I do know I feel confident in saying that Arkansas will be one of his top 2, top 3 schools when it's all said and done. It'd be hard to get him away from Oklahoma just because his mom's a OU grad, and obviously he's from that state. But it wouldn't shock me that if he did pull the trigger for Arkansas.
Yeah, you got several coaches, including a head coach that's from Oklahoma, and a defensive coordinator. It's from Ada, Oklahoma. So you got some roots and ties there. You're now to 15 commitments. 10 spots to go if you signed 25. Who are some names or some spots you think may filter in over the next couple of weeks here as you get closer to the end of July and the start of practice at the beginning of August, and things seemingly always slow down as practice begins?
I'd keep an eye on Jordan Crook, the linebacker who was committed to Oklahoma State. When he visited Arkansas soon afterwards, he decommitted from Oklahoma State, I think, on June the 30th. And I really like where Arkansas is with him right now. He's from Duncanville, Texas, about 6 foot, about 220 pounds, more of an outside guy, but I'd keep an eye on him. Keep an eye. I think it's going to be a while on Gentry Williams. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the last name right or not, but he's a defensive lineman from Memphis Christian Brothers, who's down to four schools: Arkansas, Oregon, and Illinois, and the fourth one escapes my mind. But I think they're in good shape with him. But really, the only one that I think could be fairly close to maybe making an announcement is Jordan Crook.
What would be a good number, or Matt, or commitment number heading into the season?
I think they're in good shape right now, but you figure at 15, if they can, I don't know, get 2 or 3 more, have 18, and usually you like to when you get to that point, you like to try to swing for the fences, and you swing for the fences like with a Gentry Williams and several other guys, but you don't necessarily try to fill those spots right off, because there'll be some late development type kids, a large part because of COVID and coaches not being able to go out on the road and seeing these kids, and maybe getting a tip from when they're on the road or they're at a school and say, hey, coach, you need to take a look at this guy. There may be some late development type kids that show up later on.
All right, speaking of swinging for the fences, let's switch sports to basketball. Eric Musselman goes into the state of Alabama, gets their number 1 player coming off a year where Nate Oates and his program had a championship season in the regular season in the SEC. Bruce Pearl is still an incredible recruiter, and Eric Musselman leaves the state with their most prized recruit. Big get for Musselman and his staff. Yeah,
no doubt. Barry Dunning's a ESPN 4-star small forward, 6'6", 185 out of Mobile, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Alabama. When he's a sophomore, he was the only sophomore on the All-State team a couple of years ago. But he's a guy that is very versatile, brings that length that Coach Musselman really likes, and a guy that just is I think he's one of these type kids and that could potentially really do well with the NIL, because he's such a likable young man, very polite, very humble, and someone that I think Arkansas fans are going to obviously like on the basketball floor, but will also like off the floor, and just has the ability to really play into the people's hearts just because he's such a good kid.
Richard, you were spot on last week when you suggested Trey Knox get an endorsement. He picks up a PetSmart one. You had some Arkansas offensive linemen and quarterbacks that picked up barbecue joint. Jalen Williams is on Cameo now. I know he's done a few of those. Is this going to be something where you anticipate it's just a lot of Arkansas-based companies, or are there going to be a lot of national NIL requests from different student athletes at the U of A?
I think you have to be a guy that's a player on the national level, as far as, like a Traylon Burks or a Jalen Catalon, someone like that really comes onto the scene and has a great season this year. I think you could see, and who knows, there could be some national deals going on right now that just haven't been announced. But I think it's mostly going to be Arkansas, but I'm sure that there'll be some national, especially for the more highly profiled kids. But it'll be mostly like some of that you've already seen, for the local businesses getting involved, and some of the I think car dealerships, just so many different avenues where businesses could see themselves benefit from being associated with a kid at the U of A.
Any early takeaways or impressions in how you're seeing recruits and maybe some of the conversations you had? I know it's the dead period in Arkansas, but how NIL is maybe adjusting the way kids at the high school level are looking at their recruitment right now?
I think it's too early right now, but I think as we get into this 2-3 years deep, and they have a idea of a track record of schools and the deals that some of these kids make, I kind of hit on this on Sunday in talking to Van Coleman and Tom Lemming in basketball and football. Kids are always looking at NFL and NBA track records of coaches and stuff like that. They'll be looking at the track records of schools and how marketable their kids are, and how much money they can make. And if you have a few guys that are really racking in the dough, man, you obviously want to play that up, because will that be a deciding factor? I don't know, but I think it'd be one of the factors in kids making decisions, and it could sway a kid from Alabama to Arkansas if a particular kid at his position is really doing well. Maybe that's enough to say, hey, I can make some serious money at Arkansas while I'm playing in Fayetteville.
There's the person out there that puts out the Twitter impressions or the Twitter rankings each month for college basketball coaches, and Muss is always up there at the top. Someone's going to put out some kind of ranking of how the athletes are doing at each school, and it's going to be important, when it comes to NIL and the dollars. So it's going to be important as somebody will figure out how to equate all of that, and you don't want your school to be at or near the bottom or not embracing that. Well, someone's going to figure out how to rank and divide that amongst the haves and the have-nots.
I agree with that, and something I was just thinking about the other day. I think this is going to put more pressure even on coaches as far as winning, because if you're not winning, your kids are probably not getting the deals that boosters. They'll open up their pocketbooks when you're winning. That's when after a few good seasons you can, as an AD, go to the boosters and say, hey, we need this new facility. Hey, how much do you need? Well, if you're not winning, a lot of your kids are probably not getting as many deals that they could possibly get. So I think it's going to put even more pressure on winning and obviously the coaches and coaches staff.
And at the end of the day, there's still only so much money to go around, and how that gets divided up, to me, will be interesting. How much does the school get? How much does the athlete get? How much does that school's foundation get? That, to me, will be the interesting thing to see, 24, 36 months from now, how all of that shakes up, because just because NILs come along doesn't mean more money's out there to circulate.
No, and I had a conversation with a big booster one time, and the U of A was hitting him up for some additional money, and he was saying, man, I'm maxed out. Well, are they going to be maxed out, like you said, by endorsing a kid instead of giving $20,000 to the U of A? He's giving $20,000 to an athlete. Does that start to show up in donations?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question to ask. Richard, appreciate it as always, man. Enjoy your weekend, and we will talk next week.
All right, guys. Take care.
Good stuff from Richard Davenport on Recruiting Thursday.